Good, y'all. Welcome back to Niner Wire. I'm your host, Sam, and today we're here to break down the loss to the Washington football team. Obviously, very rough loss. We're probably out of the playoff picture, which sucks after this loss. But anyways, guys, I don't know why I have my AirPods in, but we're here to break it down to you guys, here to talk about everything, here to break down the game, here to talk about the future, because I think after this, really, if we're not making the playoffs, we got to have a large discussion about the future of this team, what's next, who we drafting, you name it. We're here to break it down all to you right now, right here, right now. So let's get into it. But before we do, as always, make sure to follow me on Twitter at NinerWireSam. My Instagram is at NinerWire_YT. I post a lot of stuff there, so make sure to check out those places. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, NinerWire. I have a lot of bonus content there. I'll upload stream clips. I'll upload other videos. We're going to have a lot of off-season content coming there, so make sure to subscribe to there if you're not already. Also, guys, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you name it, make sure to leave them in the live chat below or whatever it is. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Also, before we do, want to apologize for not uploading stream clips from pregame. I kind of overslept a bit this morning, didn't have time to download the video, upload the stream clips, so that's completely my fault. But, guys, go check it out. Vish and I did a really good job on that, had a lot of fun doing that. Great time, broke down a lot of the game. And actually, a lot of that game, a lot of what we broke down, I should say, came to life in this game. And let's talk about that really quickly. Let me get my water first really quick because I'm not going to survive this without my water. So, okay, we got the water. We're back. Okay, that was very bad. I just tripped on my cord. Okay, that's just going to go in the blooper reel. But, okay, let's be real. Let's get into it right now. So, let's start with just one big takeaway from this game. In my opinion, that's that we should have won this game easily. I mean, you look at what went wrong. The Washington defense had 2 turnover touchdowns, 2 defensive touchdowns. And that was the difference in this game. Those touchdowns were the difference in this game. So, I mean, there's not that much to blame for this loss. And that's why I also think this is going to be a pretty quick stream because, I mean, it really comes down to a few things. And let's start off with that first thing, and that's Nick Mullins. Now, looking at the stat sheet today, Nick Mullins, 25 completions for 45 attempts, 256 yards, rating of 70.2, 1 interception, 1 touchdown, also had that fumble. I mean, that's not really going to win you a game. And I know I keep saying it. Yes, he's a backup quarterback. But he needs to perform, whether or not he's a backup quarterback. And I know there's people out there defending him saying, I know Grant Cohn, who obviously loves Nick Mullins. If I can pull up the tweet right now, give me a sec. If I can pull up the tweet right now, I think, all right, I'm not gonna waste my time pulling up the tweet. But anyways, what he said, like Jimmy Garoppolo took 12 sacks and got hurt. Nick Mullins took 7, didn't get hurt. Therefore, Nick Mullins is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. That's not true at all. That's just what you call complete and total bias. And I mean, yeah, man, you can't. I mean, yes, I know I'm saying he's a backup quarterback, but you can't be performing like that. And you need to step it up, especially when you're in the middle of a playoff hunt. You have to step it up and get on that and get going right away. So. Yeah, man. Nick Mullins, definitely not the best performance, but in my opinion, I mean, it's a back. I keep saying he's a backup quarterback. I really shouldn't give him that excuse anymore because he's going to be the starter going forward throughout the rest of the year, probably. If we wanted to make the playoffs, he's got to step it up. And I know we're not eliminated, but it's looking pretty grim right now. So, yeah. All right. Other reason. Reason number 2, offensive line. Let's talk about the offensive line. And it was better. The offensive line was better. It wasn't as bad as last week or the week before or anything. It was better. But, I mean, going up against this Washington D, this offensive line had 0 chance. You got Montez Sweat, Chase Young, and Daron Payne, who Vish and I talked about a lot. Daron Payne played a massive role for the Washington D, and I think he could have been the X factor in this game for the Washington defense. Daron Payne balled out today. And, I mean, looking at the stat sheet, it doesn't – I don't know if it really says it on the stat sheet. Let me see. Where is it? Okay, yeah. 5 tackles, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit, and got that fumble recovery. But I mean, it's definitely, he balled out today. And that balling out definitely gave Washington D the big boost that they needed to see. So Jerome Payne balled out for them. And he was really the X factor in this because I think the Niners are really focused on Sweat. They're focused on Chase Young. Those guys balled out. But then Jerome Payne quietly has a good performance. So yeah, man, the Washington D-line, it's legit. Let's be real. This is a legit defense. And the offensive line, man, yeah, I mean, they have to step it up. And right now, I mean, after that loss, we're 5-8. We're probably gonna have a top 10 pick, and I think we probably have to use it on offensive line. Honestly, like offensive line, in my opinion, especially after this performance, offensive line is a more important need than quarterback. And you can say hot take all you want, but that's just my opinion. Offensive line is so much more important than quarterback because you need to protect the quarterback. Jimmy G has not been getting the protection throughout the year that he needs. Nick Mullins has not getting the protection throughout the year that he needs. And that probably has to go with Nick Mullins and his performances and everything. So, yeah, man. Also, I see in the comments people complaining about us to lose. If you want us to lose, then please get off my stream right now. You do not root for the team to lose. So, goodbye. Okay. Next, we were talking about offensive line, and I definitely think we need to protect our offensive line, like protect our quarterback a bit more. You got Wyatt Davis you can take. Probably not going to get Penei Sewell. That's probably going to go to the Cincinnati Bengals or someone like that. But then you also got who else? Leatherwood. That Leatherwood I'm pretty high, and you're probably going to have to trade. You might trade back for him because I've seen him slipping in a lot of mock drafts. So yeah, Leatherwood. I mean, you'll probably get him a bit later, but yeah, offensive line, in my opinion, the biggest need. We'll probably have to, and that's why I said on the Q&A with AC, offensive line is, I mean, we have to re-sign Trent Williams no matter what. And I mean, yeah, you have to re-sign Trent Williams to just save that. I mean, you just have to protect the left side of the offensive line. I know I'm starting a lot, but you just got to make it clear. Offensive line is our biggest need. And as GLOJ Rel says right here, ILL then quarterback. I mean, that's what it's tough to put it that way. I personally think that the Niners are going to trade for a quarterback, whether it be Darnold, whether it be Matt Stafford, whether it be another player. I don't know who else is probably going to be available. I think the most likely bet's going to be Darnold because it's cheap and he's on the block. Matt Stafford, on the other hand, may not be on the trade block, so I'm not sure if we're going to get him. So, or even like signing Dak Prescott, which I doubt happens, but you're probably looking at the Niners trading for a quarterback and staying in their first round with their pick. Right now, I see this team going 6-10 with a win at the Cowboys and then losing out the season. So 6-10 last year, I believe that puts you in that's basically a top 10 pick, probably. Depending, I mean, that is a top 10 pick. From just comparing to last year and the year before, we went 6-10 in 2018. That was a top 10 pick. That was number 9. And if we lost that coin flip, it would have been number 10. So, I mean, yeah, I think you're looking at offensive line in the first round, maybe trading back, getting more assets. I don't really know, but I definitely think the Niners are going to trade for a quarterback because, I mean, here's the thing that a lot of people are forgetting with the quarterback controversy is that we're in a win now situation. And if you're in a win now situation, you don't bring in a rookie. You bring in a guy who can win now because rookies are going to need some development right there. And I mean, as Visu says, we got to clean out the stable of quarterbacks. I mean, you kind of got to clean out the new old ones. Depends on like who you want to bring back. But you need to get an NFL ready quarterback, and you need backup quarterbacks too, as it says right here. But NFL ready, maybe you kind of develop quarterbacks. Obviously, you can do that in the draft, but they need to start as a backup because I'm not willing to throw in a guy. The only player I'm willing to throw in as the week 1 starter is Trevor Lawrence and maybe Justin Fields. And there's no way in hell we're getting those guys. We already have lost out on that. So it really does. I mean, you really have to just get a guy who can start now. If you want to draft a quarterback, go for it. But they're not going to be starting week 1. So, I mean, a good option you could do. Zach Wilson is getting more and more likely now that we're losing. So you could have Zach Wilson and then maybe bring a guy like Tyrod Taylor to start the year off, which I think would work perfectly for this team. But I mean, as we're saying, offensive line, quarterback, it's going to be hard to figure out which one do we want first, which one do we not want next. And I need to look at I need to look at the offensive line depth in the draft to see what's up. But offensive line in depth is definitely the most important need on this team besides quarterback, in my opinion. And I would not be surprised if we address that first in the draft, if before quarterback or something like that. Maybe we trade up to get a quarterback with our second round pick and another one in the late first round, whether it be Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, you name it. It's a deep quarterback class, guys. It's a very deep quarterback class. And you can definitely find talent in the second round. You can find talent in the first round. Offensive line, though, I mean, I haven't looked at the class, but the better offensive lineman you can get, the better your team is going to be. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And the only reason I say Tyrod Taylor right there is because you need an NFL-ready quarterback. And there aren't many available that are going to be cheap and affordable and can start right away. Tyrod Taylor is one guy who I believe would fit in our system and can start right away. And he's not your permanent starter. You draft a guy a rookie who can come in later on in the season. You need someone there to mentor him first. Tyrod Taylor can do that. Tyrod Taylor has done that. You can also do Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think it will be a bit more expensive. Alex Smith is another option. Dude, imagine if we brought Alex Smith back here. That would be awesome. But yeah, I would probably go if I were the GM, I would go. It's tough at this point because right now I do think the best fit for this team, considering like you need the NFL starting ability right away, is going to be Mac Jones because in my opinion he looks like the most NFL ready starting quarterback we can get. But I definitely think you're gonna have to you're definitely gonna have to bring in some guy to mentor him no matter what. So it's definitely I mean you kind of saw in today's game the trade-off between offensive line and quarterback, and those two go hand in hand. Vish and I talked about ripple effects a lot on pregame. And there's a ripple effect when the offensive line doesn't play well, the quarterback doesn't play well, and vice versa, just like that. It's just a ripple effect that has to be addressed this offseason. That is our number one priority right there. Number one priority. And we're going to get to the defense in a sec, but the offensive line and the quarterbacks, I'm here every week talking to you guys about how bad these guys are playing. That has to be your number one key. That just gives away right there. Cornerbacks, D-line depth, everything else, like it's really just like there's been a ton of injuries, obviously, just like plaguing everything. But those guys have been doing really well. Sometimes it depends right there. So we'll have to see right there. Okay, but offensive line, quarterback, thumbs down for me today. And that's really all the negative things there were about this game, in my opinion, if I'm being completely honest. There weren't, I mean, the Washington D, as I said on the on Kobe's show, Kobe, friend of the show, make sure to check that out. Follow him on Twitter at BayKobe. Posted a podcast last night. I was with him and Jordan, who's also on some of my pregame. We talked about how likely do we think we're going to win this game? And we all said it's not that we don't believe in the 49ers. It's that the Washington team was better. And Washington was better today. And there weren't that many negative things that showed like we lacked everything. It wasn't like that, man. It wasn't like that. Let's just go through position by position, starting with the run game on the offensive side of the football. And obviously the run game is not the same without Kittle. If that is not obvious to you, then I don't know what is. But the run game is not the same without George Kittle. Raheem Mostert, 14 carries, 65 yards. That's not the Raheem Mostert you see with George Kittle on the field. That is not, even though that's a decent performance, and even though Washington, it did seem like they were having a pretty hard time stopping that run game. I mean, it's not the same as the George Kittle it's not the same with George Kittle, I should say. And I mean, yeah, I don't really have much to say on this post game, I should say. I mean, the run game did pretty well. Everything really did pretty well, except for the quarterbacks and offensive line. But I definitely want to highlight some guys in this who were on the field today, balling out for us before I end this stream. So this is probably going to be a pretty quick stream, as you guys can tell. But run game, Raheem Mostert, even though that's not the best game of his career, it's still a good game without George Kittle. And that's why I kind of say Raheem Mostert's the most overrated player on this team, without a doubt, in my opinion, is because he needs those weapons to succeed. He needs Kyle Shanahan. He needs George Kittle. Without those two, he'd be dog shit. And it kind of went to show today, even though he had a good performance, he's losing one of the two. It's not the same. So, yeah. On the other hand, though, Jeff Wilson, I do really like what I'm seeing from him recently. And I definitely think he is the RB2 of this team, ahead of McKinnon, ahead of Tevin Coleman, ahead of Hasty. I probably rank the running backs Mostert, Wilson, Hasty, McKinnon, Coleman. McKinnon's really a satellite back, so he's got to be at least an RB4. So, yeah, man, that's really all I got to say about the run game. But pretty good job from them. And then the receivers, obviously, Deebo Samuel, I'm hoping that's not that bad of an injury. Let's see any updates. I have a lot of notifications for some reason. What are the updates? It's going to be an MRI on the hamstring. It didn't look good. So Deebo Samuel's season may be over. So that is definitely very rough. And yeah, I don't really have any much to say about that. Our season could be over. I mean, well, our season basically is over. Let's be real. I mean, I don't see us making the playoffs, but no Deebo, that's going to make it a whole lot harder to make the playoffs. I mean, we have to win out. Arizona has to lose out. Minnesota has to lose out. It's going to be a difficult path, and it's probably not going to happen. So for those of you who are hanging on to playoff hopes, it's probably gone. I mean, you got to root for this team to win, because if you're not going to do that, you're not a fan of this team, and you can probably root for the Seahawks, matter of fact, because, I mean, Seahawks fans are the ones that are rooting for the 49ers to lose. So if you don't want this team to win, go be a Seahawks fan. Subscribe to a Seahawks channel. There's probably plenty out there. But, yeah, man, it's not looking good for the rest of the season, so we'll see what happens there. And, yeah, I mean, Deebo Samuel, the injuries today, I almost considered doing – I don't know if you saw my week 2 postgame stream, excuse me. Wow, I'm like just stuttering a lot today. But my week 2 postgame stream, I held up like the candle, had the black jersey on, black hoodie on, sunglasses. I honestly considered doing that again. And yeah, man, the injuries have just been killing us this year. Obviously, that's obviously the most obvious take of the year. So yeah, but run game did pretty well. Receiving game, though, let's talk about that for a bit. And there were some positives and there were some negatives. The biggest positive is Brandon Ayuk, 10 receptions, 116 yards, wide receiver 1, dude. We got a receiver. We got Deebo Samuel. We got Brandon Ayuk. We have our receivers for the future. Jalen Hurd could be coming back next year. We have our receivers for the future. I don't really need to say a bit more about that. Kendrick Bourne. I mean, I don't really have anything to say about that. That was just like a lot, way too many drops today by Kendrick Bourne. That just gave flashbacks of the Seattle Monday night game, and it was just really bad, man. It just did not go well at all for Kendrick Bourne, and that's another reason why we lost this game, is because all the drops, the turnovers, the drops, the offensive line. Those are the 3 reasons we lost this game. If those don't happen, and those are easy things to fix, mind you, and the offensive line, I'm not even going to say the offensive line, because the offensive line was overmatched today, and that was expected. The turnovers and the drops lost us this game easily lost us this game. So, I mean, they got to get their shit together about that. But yeah, all right. Other receivers, there weren't that many receptions to tight ends, which is really surprising. Jordan Reed had nothing on the day, nor did Charlie. Charlie Warner had 1 target. I like to see them using Charlie Warner more. That's my guy right there. Use check, though. 2 receptions, 15 yards, 1 touchdown. We will absolutely take that any day of the week. So, oh, wait, sorry. Jordan Reed did have 2 receptions for 13 yards. I didn't see that on there on the stat sheet. But, yeah, other than that, man, offense, we've kind of gone over, finished up that. And before we move on, I see a lot of comments about C.J. Beathard right here. And would I rather see C.J. Beathard at this point? At this point, man, I don't know. And here's why. Because Nick Mullins could be the backup still. After this, Nick Mullins is one of the best backups in the league. In that, if you want to, you can debate me all you want about that, but my mind is not going to change about that. Nick Mullins is one of the best backups in this league. CJ Beathard, on the other hand, is not. He's a 3rd string quarterback. And I think you got to play Nick Mullins a bit more and finish the season with him, because it's really going to tell who's your next backup quarterback. I know we talked about Tyrod Taylor and drafting a quarterback. I know we've talked about Sam Darnold. I know we've talked about Matt Stafford. Either way, one way or another, we're going to have to get a backup quarterback, whether it be Nick Mullins or someone else, because Nick Mullins, restricted free agent, You don't know what you're doing with him yet. So I think you gotta keep playing Nick Mullins at this point. See where it goes from here, see what happens, and go right there. So Nick Mullins, I think you have to finish the season strong with him and just see. It really determines the future of this team for the backup quarterback. I mean, as we've talked, the theme of this game has been ripple effects. I mean, we've talked about Deron Payne and the entire defensive line doing that after his performance. We've talked about the offensive line and the quarterback and how they're hand in hand. Now we're talking about Nick Mullins right here. Nick Mullins, obviously one of the best backups in the league. If he keeps struggling, do you let him go and do you sign a cheaper option who could be better, have more potential, or do you bring him back if he does well? And that's going to be a money game. That's going to be a money game. And that money may come in to help us later on. So it's a huge ripple effect thing. So, yeah, man, that's really all I got to say about CJ Beathard, Nick Mullins. I think you have to finish the season strong with Nick Mullins. So, yeah. All right, defense. I do not have much to say about the defense. The defense performed very well today. And it was really a all-around performance, great performance by everyone. And I know my keys for the game for the defense were stop McLaurin. And look what they did, man. 2 receptions, 24 yards. That's ridiculous. You do not expect that from Terry McLaurin. And this is another reason why I say we should have won this game. It's the turnovers that killed us. Those were the difference in this game. The defense did everything they could. The defense they didn't give up a single touchdown this game. Only field goals. Only field goals from this defense who has been struggling on and off this year. This is the performance that you want to see on defense. And really, like, everyone balled out today. There's not one negative performance I can think of from the top of my head. Even, you know how good this defense played today? Even Dante Johnson had a good game. Dante Johnson had a good game. If you're watching this, Dante Johnson, which you probably aren't, but, I mean, because you probably hate me already because I made that video about you, but way to go. Way to go. That's exactly what I need to see from Dante Johnson. Is he still in my fucking awful 5? Yes. But, I mean, you can have a good performance once in a while. Dante Johnson, today was his day, had a great performance. So, yeah. That's really all I have to say about this game. It really came down to turnovers and drop passes. That's really it. Everyone else played really well. And are we going to get our shit together? Probably not. But, I mean, you got Dallas next week. I definitely think this team should beat Dallas. I definitely think this team is going to beat Dallas. As for Arizona and Seattle, that's going to be a much tougher task, and I really don't think that's going to happen with this team, especially with the inconsistency of Nick Mullins and everything. So, yeah, man. But overall, it was a pretty good game. We lost, but I will take the performance from everyone else besides the drop passes, besides the turnovers. Everyone else, I will take that performance, especially when this game was supposed to be a defensive game. It ended up being that. And, I mean, the defense controlled this game. Defense held both teams to little to none. And, yeah, man, I don't really have to say much more. Again, this is going to be a very quick postgame, excuse me, but I don't have much to say. All right, before we finish it off, let's get into fantasy. Fantasy. If I pull up my team and everything, let's talk about the fantasy aspects for today. I always like doing this, but we'll see how it goes. So, all players, all rosters, and all pro teams. We got to go to the San Francisco 49ers. And leading the scoring today, obviously, that's Brandon Ayuk with 21.9 points. I'm just gonna run through this real quick because I don't really need to touch up about anything. I kind of went over the performances. Everyone had a pretty good performance, so there's really only a few guys that stand out. Nick Mullins is one of those guys with 12.4 points. So Nick Mullins, Kendrick Bourne, 9.2. Those are the guys that really stand out as poor performances today. So, yeah. Other than that, 49ers D with 10 points, Juszczyk with 9.8, Wilson 9.4, Mostert 9, Richie James 6.3, Ross Dwelly 4.0, Jordan Reed 3.3, Robbie Gold 1.0, Deebo Samuel 0.9. Everyone else with nada. Okay, before we go, any updates on Warner or Deebo Samuel or anything like that? Latest update was the Deebo Samuel saying that the MRI is not looking good. Might not look good. So hopefully Deebo Samuel's okay. Hopefully we can do it. So, yeah, I know. So right now we are 12th in the draft order. That is good to know because it definitely helps us a little bit. You got to get there a little by little. You get there, but I mean, this team is not going to tank. This team will not give up. I'm telling you guys that right now. And if you want this team to lose, too bad, because this team is not going to try to lose. And as I said, if you want this team to lose, then go be a Seahawks fan. Like, why are you here rooting for your team to lose? You do not do that. That's not being faithful. Period. That's not being faithful. You do not root for your team to lose. But, hey, man, even if you lose when you're tanking, it's going to help with draft position, especially if you're not in the playoffs. But, yeah, 12th right now, I will take that. That's definitely prime position to get someone in the draft that can help us significantly on offensive line. Cornerback, we're probably not going to take because Lynch just hates drafting cornerbacks. But, yeah, 12th, that's fine right now. Okay, previewing next game. I mean, we're going against Dallas, and this is a game we should win. If we don't win this game, I think we're eliminated from playoffs if we don't win this game. Are we? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we are eliminated from playoffs if we don't win this Dallas game. I would have to assume. Like, I don't think we're going to be 7-9 going into the playoffs. Arizona's 7-6 right now. We're 5-8. If we lose and they win, then we're definitely out right there. But I think the only way we make the playoffs if we win out, Arizona loses out, and Minnesota probably has to lose out. So, yeah, man, that's really all I have to say. But anyways, guys, I know that was a very short post-game stream, but I didn't have much to say other than the woes of this game. But yeah, if you guys want a bit more analysis, I want you guys to check out two guys. First of all, Nothing But Niners. Shout out to Nothing But Niners. They're probably my favorite 49ers YouTube channel on YouTube. So make sure to check them out. I know they do post-game analysis. They do really long ones too. So make sure to check them out. Other guys to check out, Grant Cohn, always provides some unique insight. Definitely, sometimes it's on and off, but most of the time, Grant Cohn, great guy to follow. Follow him on Twitter. Check him out on YouTube channel, Cohn Zone. Two other streams to check out. So make sure you subscribe to those guys. Give them some love. Tell them I sent you here to watch their post-game stream. But yeah, man, thank you all so much for tuning in. I know very short. Obviously, the season's not doing well, but we're riding through it. Got 3 games left. Let's finish the season strong. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Go Niners.